Hello, my name is Jordan Klein, and I am the host of Fireside Paranormal Podcast. If you're into ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, the unknown, then pull up a chair and join me by the fire as we hear real stories from real people. Each episode, I interview paranormal investigators, authors, experts, and legends in their field. Here at Fireside Paranormal Podcast, we have something for everyone. If you're an experienced researcher or if you're just getting into it, we have a spot for you. We're found anywhere you listen to podcasts. So grab your friends, tune in, and remember, don't be afraid, only believe.
Welcome, everyone, to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien from RKB Paranormal, and this week I have Leah and Shannon from Michigan Soul Tribe Paranormal. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming on to the show. And I always just like to just dive right in. So kind of, where are you guys based out of in Michigan?
Well, we're in a couple of different locations. We're more on the eastern side of Michigan. So we have a couple gals who are in Macomb County. We're located in St. Clair County. And then we have another gal who comes all the way from Tampa.
All right. So it's the 5 of you total, correct?
Yes.
All right. So how did this coalition of ladies kind of come to be? How did this team kind of get formed?
Go ahead. I'll leave that one to you.
Well, my mom, my sister, and I, well, and I guess Heather as well, started when my sister and I were very young, just doing little trips to the graveyards and things like that. And then when we got a little bit older, we decided to do an actual investigation at Eloise. And that's when Carly kind of came into the picture. And then from there, it kind of just continued, and we decided we needed a name, and then here we are.
Yeah, so like, when did you actually form the team? Like, what year?
Ooh, I would say, gosh,
I think it was 2019.
Like three years ago.
When did you get married?
I think, yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
2019. All right. So y'all been around for a few years. So now, apologize in advance if I'm wrong, but I'm going to assume you're mother and daughter.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought. So where did the name kind of come from? Because it's kind of a mouthful. It's kind of a long name, and it's different. So I'm just kind of curious who came up with this name and kind of what's the meaning behind it.
Well, we were on a paranormal investigation, believe it or not. What hotel were we at? Do you remember where we were?
No, we were at Pictured Rocks.
Oh yeah, we were at Pictured Rocks, and someone was doing readings online, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, go on there and put my name in and see if she'll call on me and do a reading for me.
It was a Facebook Live.
Yeah,
okay,
it was a
okay. Facebook
Live reading, and I can't remember. Was it Brandy that was doing it?
I don't remember who it was.
It might have been Brandy, I think, from what was it, 28 Days she just did?
28 Days Haunted? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Brandy. And she actually picked me, and she was giving me some information, and she had mentioned, that I would be gathering my soul tribe.
Okay.
So that's kind of where the word soul tribe came in. So when we were looking at different names and things of that nature, soul tribe definitely had to be in there, because that's really what we are. I mean, we're family, but we're also kindred spirits. So
okay.
That's how that came in there. And then we were trying to figure out, how do we incorporate where we're from? Obviously, Michigan came in, and then paranormal was the next obvious choice. So we were playing with acronyms, like what would be a cool acronym?
Right.
So we messed with it, and we were playing with it. We came up with MIPS. MIPS.
Okay, yeah, that works. So you kind of have Brandy to kind of thank for part of your name, then, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
I may have to ask her about that, because I've actually got her scheduled for season 2. So.
Oh, cool! Yeah, yeah.
So if I remember, I'll have to ask her about that. So what's kind of some of the personal experiences you guys have had, like not during investigations, but stuff that kind of you experienced that kind of led you to this whole thing?
It goes back a long ways for me. I kind of got the girls started into it. No judgment here. Like she said, when they were younger, my cousin and I, Heather, who's our other member, decided to take them on a ghost hunt in a cemetery, you know, and that started their interest in it. But for me, I've always had things my whole life growing up. I've seen things, heard things, feel things. That's how I kind of got my name in the group as a paranormal sponge.
Right.
I have a tendency to just kind of feel. I'm not psychic or medium or anything like that. Unfortunately,
kind of intuitive in a way.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I had those skills, but I don't.
Right.
So I think that's kind of how it all started. And ever since then, we, you know, introduced the girls to taps when they came out, watched them ever since, still watch them today.
Right.
And that's kind of how we all got started.
So just like everybody I've interviewed on this show, it kind of started when you were a kid. And for your daughter, it started with her when she was a kid. So that's been a common trend for everybody. I think it's just you don't just pick this up one day and say, you know what, I think I want to do that. It's that initial, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I can't think of the word I'm looking for. That initial bug, I guess, was placed as a kid, and it just kind of grew from there. So that's
I would definitely agree with that.
So what's one particular thing for both of you that you kind of personally experienced, whether it's at an investigation or just say at a cemetery or in your own home, that kind of just scared the hell out of you?
Ooh. You think about that for a minute.
I don't know that I've had anything like scare me. I don't know, what's yours?
I can tell you the one thing that scared me, my first like real vision, the first full body apparition that I had seen when I was younger, was in my house. And I was in the bathroom getting ready for school. And I remember, you know, messing around or whatever. And then all of a sudden I saw the shower curtain behind me kind of move. And I thought, that's really kind of weird. So I turned around and looked, and there was this older woman sitting there and just watching me. And I remember, yeah, it scared the bejesus out of me being young. It wasn't until many years later that I was sharing that story with my mom and dad, and my dad had mentioned to me that he had seen her also. So it was crazy. And then my mom, just when I described the older woman, was like, oh my gosh, that's my great grandmother. So, and it was a family home. It had been passed down generation. So it was kind of, but that was the first thing that scared the daylights out of me. And that's when I kind of knew, okay, you know, and then from there it just spiraled.
Right. I think anytime anybody sees a full body apparition, especially when they're not expecting it, it's probably going to spook them at least a little bit. I remember the one time I've seen one. It was clear as day. I was walking out of my basement door one night and open the main door, and I look out, and there's a woman standing in our front yard. I'm like, that's weird. And she's dressed in a long white dress, and she had long white hair, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And so by the time I opened the screen door, that split second the screen door passed my eyes, she was gone. Yep. And my younger brothers were sitting outside at the time, and I was like, hey, who was that just in the yard? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's like a woman just in the yard just now. They're like, man, we've been sitting out here for like 45 minutes. There's nobody out here but us. And I was like, hey, whatever. That's weird.
Right? So, your mind kind of like.
That's what I thought. I was like, my mind's just playing tricks on me, whatever. 3 nights later, the girl I was dating at the time, I was walking her to her car. Out that same door, she opened the door and just stopped. I'm like, what are you doing? She's not saying nothing. I have to like say her name 3 or 4 times to get her to snap that up. She goes, there's a woman in the yard. I was like, what? I said, what the fuck are you talking about? And I hadn't told her about it, you know? And she's like, there was just a woman in the yard. And I was like, what did she look like? Described the exact same thing. And I was like, huh. And then I told her, you know, that I'd seen it. I was like, you know, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to freak out and not come back over here. But I seen that same thing like 3 nights ago. She never came back over at night.
Oh, wow.
So it was weird because in that same basement there was numerous times I heard a female whisper my name in my ear. And so I don't know if it was like a connection or what, but that's seeing a full body apparition is gonna kind of freak anybody out, I think. So
Yeah, for sure.
so what's some of the
Oh, yeah.
locations? Oh, sorry.
You want to tell them about the house?
No, not really.
That
I don't
was-
really have anything
That was the
scared
most
me.
wicked, though. That was the most wicked one. You got to admit. Oh yeah, we had like a whole time loss episode where, and this was a group of people we were with. Tell them the story. Come on.
So we rented this house in Pigeon Forge. It's by Gatlinburg in
Mhm.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm from Tennessee, so I know where it's at.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we rented a house there. It was kind of just back in the mountains. I mean, it had other homes around it, but it was pretty like secluded.
Right.
And before even opening the door, my mom and I looked at each other and we just knew something was off about this house.
Right away.
And, you know, we had numerous odd things happen the whole time we stayed there. So much so that we actually left the day early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we
But-
packed it up and booked.
Yeah. The biggest episode we had was, it was like, what, 6 or 7 people on this trip.
Mhm. And a few, most of them were non-believers.
They were skeptics.
until this.
We were setting up for dinner. I think there was a couple kids. We were getting like drinks and stuff together on the table, and my mom was getting the sides together, and the men were out grilling. And they had just come in and set like a full platter of meat on the table, and we all just kind of like looked up and looked at each other, and we're like, "What time is it?" And somebody had checked their phone. It was like 3 in the morning. And we're like, how does that happen? You guys were just outside cooking.
The food was still on the table.
It was still hot.
We were at the sink doing dishes, me and the other mom who was with the group. And we all just kind of were like dumbfounded. We couldn't figure out what the hell had just happened. We literally were just sitting down to eat. And the next thing we knew, it was 3 in the morning. We lost an entire evening. None of us can explain what happened. We have the whole time we were there, the house was
Very active.
way active, incredibly active.
That's pretty wild.
We even wrote a note and slipped it inside underneath between plates in the cabinet, thinking that should another family or people stay there, they would find the note.
Right.
Asking, we left a phone number to call us if they had similar experiences or anything like that.
That's insane. I don't know what I would do if I just woke up from a time slip like that.
Yeah,
So
It was very odd.
we had multiple things happen, but that was the most significant where we just could not. There was no explanation for it. I mean, the other couple that was with us ended up moving their mattress into our room. We all slept together.
Wow.
And like Leah said, we left a day early because even the non-believers were like, this is it, we're out of here.
Right. You know, to have one person experience it, that's one thing, but to have 6, 7, 8 people to experience the same thing, there's almost no way to explain that logically. That's crazy. And it's funny that you mentioned, that area. When me and my wife got married, we went up to Gatlinburg for our honeymoon, and the cabin we rented, we didn't experience anything, but it just felt like the entire time we weren't exactly alone. And it was just, I don't know, it's something about that area. And it's a lot of, Native American land too. So that may have a lot to do with it.
Funny you say that too, because early on when we were walking through the rooms, checking everything out, I had sat down in one of I guess it was like, what would you call that? Not a foyer area, but I don't know, it was some weird room.
Yeah.
And that was what I said was I can hear Native American something. I could hear either chanting or singing or something of that nature. It's definitely Native American based. There's something going on here with that. And
That's
so yeah, it's funny that you say that.
yeah, that's crazy. So you guys were based out of Michigan. So what's some of the locations you guys have investigated in Michigan?
Eloise.
Heard of that one?
Um, yep. The Stimson Hospital, we're actually going back to for our second time on Saturday.
Think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that one's a little bit smaller.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh, the cemetery.
Oh, the
Witches.
Memphis Cemetery.
Yeah, the Witches Ball.
Yeah, where the
Where else? There's not too many places in Michigan that we've
Yeah.
gone.
there's not too many places in Michigan that are easy to get into.
That's true. Yeah, Traverse State Sanatorium, I think. They changed that into a shopping mall.
Yeah, so you
Oh wow.
can't go there anymore.
Mhm. No, can't do that. I think that's it in Michigan that we've gone to, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so where's some places you've traveled outside of Michigan if you guys do travel outside of the state?
Ohio's been the big one recently.
We've been Ohio State.
Reformatory.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Congress was in Illinois.
Where else?
Oh, we went to Colorado. What's
The Stanley Hotel.
Stanley
Yeah,
Hotel.
we've been
Yeah, that-
there.
That's one of the big dogs.
Yeah, I had another time flip there too.
Yeah.
Oh
I
wow.
Mhm. Where else? We've been to a few different places. I can't think of them all off the top
Oh,
of my
we
head.
saw Robert the Doll in Florida.
Oh yeah, we did go visit him.
Oh no shit.
Yeah,
That's-
that was awesome.
That's
good.
wild. So you guys aren't afraid to travel outside of the state, obviously. So it sounds like probably Florida, California is probably like the farthest you've traveled so far.
I would say, yeah,
Colorado.
Yeah,
the farthest,
Colorado.
Yeah.
So is there any places like what's like your paranormal bucket list?
Oh,
Shoot,
I have
it's
a
like
list
this
of
song.
40. I have a list of 40 and it has all the destinations, how far away they are from us,
Oh wow.
how much they cost, how long you get to investigate for. I have a whole list.
We've got tons of places. We take everything from everybody and add it on there every
Right.
time we find something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
our goal this summer is to hopefully get to the Conjuring House.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty intense. If you guys make it to Tennessee, I have a whole list of places you can hit up in Tennessee that are super active. Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. It's actually over close to
That's on
Knoxville.
our list.
Yep.
That's where our team kind of got our unofficial start, and we heard everything from disembodied voices to hearing the cell doors slamming to having stuff thrown at us, and
Yeah.
it was intense. And Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We've been there once. It was during a public investigation, so we didn't really get to do anything. But they say it's super active. Actually, the same guy that owns Old South, he just recently purchased another old hospital and has opened it up for investigations to the old historic Harriman Hospital in Harriman, Tennessee. They say that one is like intense. Destination Fear, their new season, they do an episode there.
We do. Okay.
My favorite place is the historic Scott County Jail. It's kind of over close to Brushy and all that stuff too. That place is insane. It's super active, super small jail, but it's super active. Gosh, where else? The old Lynchburg Funeral Home. That place is insane. So there's a lot of places down here in Tennessee. Some of them's well known. Some of them it's kind of only kind of locals would heard of them. So, and speaking of the ghost shows, I know you guys have obviously went to some of these cons to meet some of these people. So how did that get started? Who was like, hey, let's go meet the Taps crew, or hey, let's go meet the Destination Fear crew?
Was that you? I
It
don't know.
probably was me.
I was gonna
I'm
say.
always the instigator with this stuff.
I think it was her.
Yeah, I think it was me. What was it? The Paracon,
Yeah.
which we're hoping to go to again this year. We loved it.
So
Yeah.
who was like the most laid back, like chill person of everybody you've met?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess Steve, but I can kind of see him being the most chill. Have you met any of the Ghost Adventures crew?
No.
I've met Zach and Aaron years ago. This was like 2013. This was kind of before Zach kind of got his big ego. I mean, he was super chill then, but Aaron was cool as hell. I mean,
He seems really cool.
Yeah.
he was super cool, and I'd like to meet the Destination Fear guys. That was like my favorite show out there right now.
Met them.
Yeah.
We did.
They
Yeah.
were cool.
We actually
Really
bought
cool.
him shots at the bar.
Oh, no kidding. So you kind of hung out with them afterwards too, huh?
Yeah, it was cool. They were fun.
I bet that's what. It seems like Tanner would kind of be the most kind of laid back out of that group. If I had to pick one. So you've already named off your bucket list. So actually, no, you actually didn't name any places. You just said you had a list. So what's some of like your top places on that bucket list?
Conjuring House is definitely on there. Hinsdale House is on there. Oh God, there's so many.
Preston. A lot of the big ones.
Oh, Trans-Allegheny.
Oh yeah.
That's my top spot.
I want to sleep there.
I want that one really
hang
bad.
out there.
I just feel like you could spend like an entire week there and not even scratch the surface because it's just
Right.
so big, so much history there. It would I hope to make it there one day, even if I just go by myself. That's a place I've always wanted to go. So of all the places you guys have been, what's been like your most active location to date?
Well, I would say, I don't know. We had a lot of activity. Well, we had activity at Eloise when we were there. We recorded some stuff there. And then what else would you say would have been our most active?
It's hard to. I want to say Stimson, even though
I think so. I would go with Stimson.
we didn't have any like real equipment at the time when we first went to Stimson.
Mm-hmm.
But we had odd things happen, weird smells, lights turn on and off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the video. We did have a video camera that was zooming in and like by itself zoomed in on a doll that you're supposed to pay homage to when you're there, which we thought was kind of interesting. And then there was a couple of, we're not like huge people with orbs. Like we just,
right.
Okay, it could be anything.
Right.
But we did have two that we thought were really interesting and different. And there was one white and one black, which we also found fascinating. I've never seen a black orb before.
Right.
Definitely directional. So those were interesting.
Right.
But I would say that, and then the Stanley, I think, only because of, for me anyway, the crazy times loss again that I had. Yeah. So
wow.
That would, yeah.
The time slip that still just kind of that trips me out. I don't know what I would do if I experienced something like that.
It's strange.
So what has been like your most profound piece of evidence that you've captured so far, whether it's been like a Class A EVP or something being knocked off a shelf? Like what's been like your best piece of evidence so far?
Photo.
I was gonna say, yeah, I think our best is probably the picture we took driving up to Eloise. And then I just took it in rapid succession, just as we're driving up, just in case anything wanted to, poke its head out. And I was surprised we actually got something out of that. And
we didn't notice it until we were comparing, because I had done not the same thing in succession like she did, but I had just taken a photo.
Right.
And it so happened that they were identical photos at the same time. And one had the picture, the face, the person, and one did not.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was kind of, you know, yeah, like most people when you're going through everything and looking at everything, you know,
Right.
you don't notice it right away until later. But
Right.
yeah, that was pretty cool to see that there.
Right. And that's good that you take pictures in you know, in a row like that. A lot of people don't ever think to do that. At least 3 or 4 in a row, because you never know what you could or could not capture. So, do you guys try to debunk when like something happens? Do you try to find like a logical explanation?
Always. Always.
I think, I mean, like I said, when Taps came out, that was one thing that we really loved about him or
Mhm.
their group.
Right.
Because that was what they set out to do first.
Mhm.
And then if they couldn't debunk it, it was like, okay, you know, we can't explain it. So therefore it's got to
Right.
be paranormal, right?
Okay. And
Um,
that's definitely a good thing to do. So,
yeah, for sure.
because there's so many teams out there that'll fake evidence, or you'll see a video and you can clearly tell it's not paranormal, but they're trying to promote it as paranormal, and that pisses me off when people do that stuff. I'm just
Yeah, it's
like,
frustrating. It makes us look like jokesters.
right, those are the kind of people that aren't in it for the right reasons.
Right.
That's why whenever we do post something, we always say, you know, give us your thoughts on it. What do you think it is? Do you
Right.
think we're matrixing it into something it's not, or
Right.
you know, is it valid? I guess.
Right. And that's a good thing to do, to kind of get other people's opinions, because you may, you know, get in contact with somebody that's been doing this a whole lot longer than you guys, and they'll be like, well, this is what I think it is. And then it's always good to get second and third opinions. So what's some of the equipment you guys like to use?
Well, I don't know.
Definitely the spirit box.
Oh, yeah.
SB7 spirit box. Because we like to do the Estes method.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just got what's the Zoom recorder.
Right.
Microphones going opposite ways. We just got that. We've been messing with that.
Obviously the REM pod.
REM pod we just got, so we
like to play with that.
We haven't had any hits with it yet, but we're hoping.
We're not super techie people, so even if we wanted to like fake, you know,
I wouldn't know
shit,
how.
we would never know how to do it.
Right.
Seriously. I'm still learning how to use the stupid stuff, like some of the software and shit on the computer. I couldn't fake a photo if I tried.
Right.
I'd have to try to pen it on there and color.
Well, when you get something on the REM pod, you guys are going to enjoy that, because when it starts going off and you can get it to stop on cue, that's an awesome feeling. I mean, we have stuff like that happen at where I live, and we'll start interacting with something, and we'll throw the REM pod out, and it'll start going off. I'm like, all right, step away from it now, and then boom, right on cue, it'll stop beeping. So it's pretty cool. The Zoom recorder, that's on my list of items to get. Ghost Hunters introduced me to that. I had no clue what it was. The first time I seen them wearing those headphones, I was like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not going to be able to hear anything. I was like, what are... And then, you know, when they kind of started showing what they were doing with it, I was like, well, that's kind of cool. Kind of like you're listening to it as it's happening. So I think that's really cool.
So we got to get one.
You hear everything.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Everything, every noise,
Whisper.
every little rub, everything.
Wow, that's crazy. Now, when you do the Estes method, do you whoever's doing it, do you blindfold? Do they do the blindfold?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what's some experiences you guys have had with that? So we love doing the Estes method, and sometimes, you know, it'll make sense, and sometimes you're just like, you know, what's going on? But when it starts adding up and making sense, that's super awesome. So what's some cool experiences you guys have had doing that?
Our first time ever trying it, we were in Ohio State Reformatory in the hospital, not wing, but room, I guess.
Mhm.
And she was under, and we were just kind of trying to see if anything was there, and we kept getting like little responses back, but nothing major. And then somebody came through and was just very talkative, and there were other people that were also there for it, and they had a flashlight and they were walking into the room, and she goes, "Light, hide." And we're like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting," because she was blindfolded. She had no clue, what we were asking or what was going on around her. But then, what was this most recent one that we did? Was that at one of the hotels?
It was at the hotel where the couple started arguing.
Yeah.
And we ended up, it started fighting. What hotel was that? We bounced around so much I can't ever remember.
Like an actual living couple started arguing?
No,
No.
It was a deceased, and we're assuming it was a couple. We're not 100% sure. But I was under again, and this male was coming through, and he was talking, and then in the background I kept hearing this female trying to talk, and he would cut her off every time. And towards the end, she finally had enough and started really pushing through. And I had to take the headphones off because they started yelling at each other. They were like just bitching back and forth so much. I had to take the headphones off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, we just made these guys start fighting. Like, what do we do now? How do we fix this? How do we get this? I can't leave them like this.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
It was pretty cool. But the Ohio State Reformatory that you're talking about, that was where the fire. Remember, there was a fire that happened, and didn't I say, like, he was talking about being hot?
Mm-hmm. That was in another room. That was in where they put everybody when they moved them from the first jail to this one. That was in, I think it's like the attic, they call it.
Okay.
And then we got a name, which was on one of the plaques.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's down there. We got a name that had come through. It didn't make sense at the time until we found the plaque.
Right.
And then I think it was Brittany who said, wait, I want to see if the name is on here. And sure enough, it was. So
nice.
Yeah, so we've had some interesting experiences. We're still learning. We're still, green, so to speak.
Right.
So,
and I don't think you'll ever stop learning. I mean, because just when you think you're like, okay, I don't think there's anything else to learn, all of a sudden you got a new tool that comes out, or somebody's invented some kind of new technique to try. So have you guys tried the what's it called, the Gunsfeld method, where you tape the ping pong balls over your eyes?
Oh my gosh, no.
It's just like, it's pretty much the Estes method, but instead of a blindfold, you take a ping pong ball and you cut it in half and you tape them over your eyes. It looks pretty. It looks creepy as hell just looking at somebody, but they say it's a little bit more sensory deprivation than just a typical blindfold.
Really?
And because it somehow, because it's a white ping pong ball, so a little bit of light comes through, but it's not enough to really where you can clearly see. We haven't tried it yet, but it's something we want to try, and I've seen it done on a couple of different shows. 28 Days Haunted, I think they do it. A couple of the guys on there do it, and I've seen it somewhere else too. So that's something on our list to try.
Sure, definitely. We're always open to new things.
So have you ever heard during the Estes method? Have you heard any of your names said?
Actually, I think you guys said this last one with the couple that was arguing said my name. I was out in the hallway.
That wasn't during an Estes
Oh no,
method,
it wasn't.
though.
It was the spirit box, wasn't it? Yeah.
I don't think we've had any names come through.
No.
It's pretty wild when you hear your name called.
I would think so.
When we went to the historic Scott County Jail last year, it was just me and my best friend that went this time. And we went back a couple of months ago, and it was me and him and my wife and my sister-in-law. We went the second time, and we had Josh in the hallway doing the Estes method, and almost one of the very first things that came out was my name.
Wow.
And then it wasn't just a few minutes later, his name came through. And
wow.
what we captured in that hallway, was our most profound piece of evidence. And so it was almost like whoever did what we captured was back there talking to us. And we kept trying to interact, kept trying to figure out who it was that done that. And after about 20 minutes, we finally got a name. And I don't know if the name was of somebody who actually was there or somebody just kind of passing through, but we finally got a name. And the Estes method is crazy for those who's never tried it. Because like I said, sometimes it'll make sense because the person that's under, they're just saying whatever they hear. They have no clue what's being asked or being said, but then when you start putting two and two together and you're getting intelligent answers, it's like, how do you explain that?
Right.
So, and heck, one of our best EVPs we captured during the Estes session, and it wasn't even through the Estes method. It was captured on our video camera.
Wow.
And we were doing the Estes method at a hotel up in Kentucky, and the clips actually, I think that's the short clips posted on our Instagram and stuff, but you can hear me talking because I'm doing the Estes method. You hear one of our teammates, they go, "Are you Pop?" And then you kind of hear my wife whisper, "Who's Pop?" And then right at the camera, you hear somebody say, "That's not my name."
Oh, wow.
And it was so insane. And of course, we didn't realize we captured it until, a couple of days later when I'm going through everything. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's like clear as day. And so that's probably been probably our best EVP. All right. So I'm going to kind of get your guys' kind of opinions on a few things. Provoking. How do you guys feel about provoking? So I know some people's against it. Some people they're against it, but they'll do it to an extent, and then some people just they don't care. They'll do it. They'll do whatever they can to get a response.
I would say that we're not 100% on board with that. We kind of feel it's a little disrespectful. We're not like, however, I mean, we will gently not like push a little bit,
Right.
but we're not Zach Bagans provoking,
Right.
kind of a thing.
Right.
We just don't, I don't know. If to us, not everything is demonic, not everything is evil, not everything is like.
Right. And see, you don't ever know what you are interacting with, and say it is something evil.
Yes.
You go in there and trying to purposely piss it off. You don't know what could happen. So, and we're kind of like you. We kind of more or less motivate more than anything.
Yeah.
If they're doing stuff, we'll be like, okay, well, you're doing this, so I want you to show us more because I know you can. And when we start doing that stuff, sometimes it does start picking up. So,
yeah, without having to be nasty and bitchy about it.
Right. We have been to one location where they told us you have to do that in order to get a response out of one of the spirits. Okay. And I was like, well, I'm like, if that's the only way to get them to talk, I'm like, I guess so. And it was in an old jail, and the guy, the spirit's nickname was Mr. Nasty. So yeah. So that's been the one and only time we've really ever done that. So crossing over, how do you feel about crossing over a spirit?
Well, I feel like we have our spirit guide here. I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? Like, I don't know that we want them to still be lingering. I would like to think that there's something beyond here and hanging around here. Do I believe that there is a realm similar to ours that we call the other side? I don't know. I would hope that it's something more elevated.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not really sure the question if you're asking, do we believe in crossing over, or are we helping them cross over?
How do you feel about somebody that that does cross over. They're like, okay, I'm here. The spirit is telling me they want to cross over. I want to help them. Do you agree with that, or do you think that should be left a priest or something like that?
No,
I think it's worth a shot. I mean, if
Yeah.
they're asking for help and you can kind of guide them to the light per se,
Right.
then why call in anybody else if you're able to help them out in that way?
Right.
But obviously, if you can't, then at that point, yeah, I mean, you need to out for help.
Yeah, if you can get them to understand that they are no longer living, that they have passed, and you get the feedback from them that they are understanding this,
right,
then I think it's okay to try to help them move on, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. That's definitely a good answer. Ouija boards, how do you feel about them?
Well, some of us are a little divided, I think. I used to be kind of against them, but now I just feel more like it's just a tool to communicate. I don't think that a Ouija board itself is anything that's evil or bad, or I just think it's another communication tool like all of the other objects that we use. I mean, that's my opinion on it. I know you're a little bit more.
No, I think it's all about intention, and if you're, I don't know, reaching out to darker things, then darker things are gonna respond. I mean, you don't always have that control, of course, but I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about it, I guess. I don't know. But again, with any piece of equipment, with any investigation, you don't know what you're dealing with. So
right. I've always kind of thought, if it's something you can buy in the toy department at Walmart, how useful is it really going to be? I mean, some people know how to use them, some people don't. I've dabbled with it a couple of times before I actually had a team, like when I was a teenager and stuff, and because that's we were teenagers.
Yeah, we had one growing up.
And so I was just always kind of like, am I really moving this, or is this person moving it, or is something channeling through us and causing us to move it? It was just one of those things I really could never get into. Now my wife, she's like 100% don't even want to talk about them. She's like, leave them alone. And I'm like, hey, I respect that. You don't want to bring one in, I'm not going to argue with you. So, what's been your absolute favorite location to date?
Gosh, my absolute favorite. Oh, experience-wise, I'd have to say the house in Tennessee. Believe it or not. I mean, that was where the most shit happened. That was absolutely out of this world crazy. Cannot explain all the things and I mean, it was every single night without fail. And it wasn't a noise. It was like full on just crazy. I mean, we're writing it. We're actually writing like a little journal about it. Leah is.
Another podcast reached out to us and was asking about our, most profound experience. And so I decided I was going to tell the story. And when I finally typed out every single day of what occurred, it turned out to be a 4-page long story, I guess.
Wow. I wish we can, I don't know if we're allowed to share. Are we allowed to share what the name of it is?
I don't know.
I don't know if they would appreciate it.
I don't think
because they rent it out. They rent it out, obviously. But it's a huge white, what would you call it? Like a colonial with pillars in the front. It's up on a hill, and it's like the classic spooky
horror film house.
Like just it definitely was like a back in the day,
right?
Home. I the name of what they call the style, and I can't think of it. But out of all the places we've been to, that would be the one.
But now with you describing that house, it kind of makes me wonder if there was any kind of significance to that house during the Civil War.
That's what it looks like. That's exactly what it looks like. Is it has the big pillars in
Right.
the front. It has a balcony that's up on the top.
So yeah,
Pillars, right?
yeah, that's yeah. So, Leah, what would you say would be your favorite place?
I mean, that house was definitely crazy, but I don't know that I consider that like one of our locations that we've gone to as a group.
No, that's true.
It's just that was just us. I think I don't know. I'm kind of torn because again, Stimson, we had a lot happen, but I really liked the Ohio State Reformatory.
I did too. That was going to be my next one.
Yeah, that's up there on my list too. And I want to go to the Stanley Hotel just to say that I've been to the Stanley Hotel.
Oh,
So
it's beautiful.
did you guys go there just to actually just hang out and stay, or did you actually go to like investigate?
We went to investigate.
Yeah.
That was our very first investigation with me, you, and your sister.
Yeah, that was it was a birthday present for me.
Oh, nice.
It was my 18th. Yeah, it was my 18th, and we decided to go. And we did stay there for what was it, a weekend or?
I think it was 4 days.
Yeah, it was.
Now, do they actually
stayed for a little while and?
Now, do they actually allow investigations, or did you just stay the night and just kind of sneak out in the middle of the night and do stuff?
Actually,
they have their own investigating that they do in a separate building from the hotel itself. Where they take you into the basement with groups, and you kind of just sit down in a circle and go in the different rooms and stuff like that.
Right.
But then we did sneak out of our
we did our own
wander the hotel.
Right.
But
I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I think they expect people to do that. I mean,
I'm sure, and they've probably experienced it more than once, and the worst they can do is ask you not to do that.
Right.
So where can guys and gals find you guys online?
We've got Instagram, we've got Facebook. I'm trying to get a YouTube up. I'm just not.
Leah,
super
unfortunately,
tech-savvy.
has been burdened with pretty much all of the
social media
stuff, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more on how to do it so I can help her out. So it's a slow process, but yeah, we do have our website,
yeah,
and then Facebook, Instagram, yeah.
It is a lot taking on all the social media, because I run all the social media for not only my team, but for the podcast as well. So I run 2 Facebooks, 2 TikToks, 2 Instagrams, 2 Twitters, 2 YouTube pages. And so, plus I make all the promos for everything. I put everything together evidence-wise, because I'm the most tech savvy of everybody. So yeah, I'm like the most tech savvy of everybody on the team. So, and I enjoy doing that stuff too. And I do 98% of it on my phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I don't really use my laptop for anything but recording the podcast. Like, once this podcast is done, this interview's over, I'm going to send this video to my phone, and what editing I do to it, I do it on my phone. So
yeah, I feel bad for her when we get a DVR system. She's gonna be stuck with that too.
Yeah, that's something I've been wanting to get to. At least, a small one. I don't have to have like Ghost Hunters type setup, but I'd like to have one to set up into like a couple of rooms or something, just something kind of small. Because I'm sure, as you guys have experienced, just your regular handheld camcorders, their batteries drain super quick. And if you try to leave one set up and just walk away, you're probably only going to get about 10 minutes out of it. And
Right.
It's such a pain. And it's like, we have probably, 15 batteries, and we're constantly at a location, constantly having to keep them on charge. And it's such a pain, but that's part of the game, I guess. So Instagram, Facebook, got a website, working on the YouTube. So guys and gals, go give these ladies a follow. Check them out.
Yeah.
If you're up in Michigan, hit them up, hang out with them. Just you may have some cool stories to share. And like I said, they're always always willing to learn. So
we're also open to going with groups if they want to do investigations. Like, I mean, I don't know about everybody out there, but we're not millionaires, and
right.
Some of these places are costly. So
they are, and even with 5 of you, it's still,
yeah.
Some of these places you have to have upwards of about 10 people to split the cost. And
right. Yeah, so we're definitely interested in hooking up with some other groups that want to go.
Right. So anybody listening that's in the Michigan area or Wisconsin, anywhere up north in that area, hit these ladies up. If there's a big place you want to go and don't have enough people, I'm sure they'll be willing to work with you. All right, ladies. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. This was a very fun interview. I wish all of you could have made it on, but we'll have to try to get you on at another time and try to get the whole team on. For those, I didn't even think to ask, what's the name of everybody else on your team? I know you've said their names, but
we have Brittany, who's my sister, Heather, who is her cousin, and then Carly is my best friend.
Okay. So it's more or less a family thing then.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's one of the best ways to do it, actually, I think. So again, Shannon, Leah, thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to everybody next time. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.